Yep, I can see you, and good morning. It's Friday, and y'all know what that means. Well, we're talking about firearms. Oh no, Cameron, run your mouth for a second. I forgot my white hat.
Oh dear. More heartwarming tales of death and destruction. We need to bring that sounder back. That one was funny. The cowboy with the one jaw just like Terrence and Phillip from South Park.
Yeah, I was actually kind of proud of that particular animation. I don't know where I put it. Oh,
Uh,
actually, it's probably on that machine that you're using right now.
oh, that's that's interesting.
So, normally on a Friday, what we do is we bring you a couple of stories or a story or two. A DRT, a dead right there, a DOT, a dead over there. A story of an a lawfully armed citizen lawfully using a firearm in self defense. And yeah, we're totally going to do that this morning. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the boogaloo that almost was. The boogaloo that wasn't. Um, and there is a broader point to my bringing it up. So last weekend, well, not last weekend, Monday. Um, so the last day of this past 3 day weekend. It was an LK day. And there was a pro gun rally in Virginia, in Richmond. Um, I'm sure many of you have heard. Well, no, you know what? I'm not sure that many of you have heard because the algorithm just kept slapping down the live streams. None of the major networks covered it. Basically, because the media is controlled by radical, gun grabbing leftists. Anytime you get a bunch of people together who are carrying guns and nobody gets murdered, which is anytime you get a bunch of lawfully armed citizens together. I mean, is there a case of a group of lawfully armed citizens getting together and someone and just turning into a mass shootout? No, because an armed society is a polite society. When you're surrounded by guns, you don't pull the trigger. You don't want to be that guy because that guy doesn't leave the demonstration.
That's yeah, that's correct. Count Dankula did his tour of America recently and posted a video about what it was like, and a lot of humorous bits in it about how first place he ate at was Hooters and then was disappointed because his waitress was flat chested and he felt like he was cheated. And he spent bit of time in Texas because he and Alex Jones have got this weird but really endearing bromance going on. And at one point in time, he walked into a gas station to buy a pack of cigarettes. And he looked around, and every single person in the store was open carrying. And he was telling the story to somebody back in Scotland. And we're like, man, didn't that make you nervous? And he was like, hell no, it didn't make me nervous. I realized that in that situation, that gas station was not getting robbed. Nobody was getting shot. I was probably the safest person in the state of Texas right there, just because everybody was armed. And that is 100% how it works. Hey, seriously, arm the teachers. Duh.
God,
Duh.
yes.
We haven't had a mass shooting at a police station yet, and it's because cops are all armed. Like, it's just a fact.
But we have had mass shootings at military recruiting stations where, for some, I. Uh, the current standard issue sidearm which right now is the Beretta 9mm, should be part of DA 670-1. I'm sorry, AR 670-1. It should be required as part of the wear and appearance of the military uniform. Why? Because they're soldiers. They're war fighters. And part of the responsibility of that war fighter has to do with the oath that he took to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Come on, man. Shit's not hard. So, y'all remember Charlottesville. What happened in Charlottesville, before anything happened in Charlottesville, is the mayor and the governor and the city council, they went out of their way to cause problems. They went out of their way. They made grandiose declarations of having to bring in extra security. And this, the one-to-one analogy here is not the protesters. It's the activity around them. It's the things that the state and the city did to try and cause a problem. Leading up to Charlottesville, they declared a state of emergency. They canceled the licenses, the lawfully acquired licenses that the protesters had filed for. And, of course, it's been smeared and smeared and smeared as this big alt-right, neo-Nazi, white supremacist. What really happened in Charlottesville is the government in Charlottesville and Virginia went out of their way to create what they were hoping for was a mass casualty event. They wanted to show that if conservatives got together to protest, that the result would be violence and death. Precisely because they're actively interested in not just removing your Second Amendment rights, but also your First Amendment rights. And I mean, there's certainly no evidence of there's certainly no evidence to support that statement. Oh, wait a minute. Not a Democrat. There is evidence to support that statement. Virginia Democrats file bill to make online criticism of elected officials a crime. So here's some of the details on the bill. If any, and this is perfect, perfectly correct. No definitions. You're all guilty. So the language in the bill is very broad and vague. So basically, anything you say, if it can at all be twisted to mean something lewd, lascivious, vulgar, profane, obscene, indecent, or make any proposal of an obscene or threatening or illegal or immoral act. Okay. The word immoral there, the words obscene, these are highly subjective words. They shouldn't be. Moral relativism is an abomination, but it is how these people think. And leading into Charlottesville, they canceled licenses or permits. They tried to force the protest to move to a different park, even though the entire demonstration was centered around Lee Park because it was about the attempted removal of the Robert E. Lee statue. And then, in fairness, once once the state and the city caused a real problem, it very much tried to censor these people, tried to strip away their First Amendment rights. People like Richard Spencer and a bunch of white supremacist, white nationalist groups decided that they'd get involved. Now, I want to say this real quick about the white nationalists and white supremacists and those guys. I mean, we do have Nazis in this country. There is literally a Nazi party in this country. But the idea that these are the alt-right, okay, sure, alt-right. That's a great little turn of phrase there. Alt-right. Do you know what the alternative to right is?
Left.
Huh. The alt-right. The alternative to right is... Oh, they're all socialists!
Yeah, and they don't have any major sway. I'm in pest control, and oftentimes I'll have people that are very, very afraid of bugs, and they'll say, "Oh my God, I'm just seeing roaches everywhere." And then you really talk to them, and you find out they saw one roach in their bathroom and one roach in the living room, and there are roaches everywhere. And it's the same thing with the Nazis in this country, the white nationalists, whatever. If if the
Yeah, and
whole
white
country,
nationalists and Nazis, socialists like that, they're a lot like roaches. If you had a real infestation, you could smell
yeah, actually, and
it.
that's a true story too. But if the entire country could be put on a football field, um, the white nationalists would literally make up enough space in that football field to fill up about a quarter-sized piece of it. And I mean, like a quarter sitting on the football field. There's such a tiny, tiny amount of people. It's
Yeah,
it's
there are
almost not.
actually more trans people.
Yeah, hey, there's actually more self-declared socialists in this country than there are Nazis. Just a thought. But
Well, that's a tautology. I mean, Nazis are socialists, but not all socialists are Nazis. If there are socialists and Nazis, then there must necessarily be more socialists than pure Nazis.
yes, but I'm just making the point that in this false dichotomy where when the right goes too far, it slides into Nazism, and then when the left goes too far, it slides into communism. Just just making the point that if we accept that false premise, there's a whole lot more of the Marx worship than there is of the Hitler worship. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, and
So
the worship of Marx is essentially state sanctioned at this point.
so anyhow, the local government tried to turn up the heat and tried to get some positive press out of it. We're fighting these evil Nazis, and we're going to make life tough on them. And counter protesters showed up, and even that term, counter protesters, like I don't know, maybe you're just a protester. But Antifa showed up, and they did what Antifa do: harass, hit, intimidate, all this sort of thing. Milkshakes hadn't come around yet, and the situation got worse and worse and worse, and resulted in somebody dying. Contrast that with what happened in this rally in Virginia, where again, the government really tried to turn up the heat. And I mean, good grief, Governor Blackface, it's cool to kill babies after they're born as long as we have a conversation with the mother. That super charming individual, the guy who's dressed up as both a KKK member and worn blackface so many times, he's not real sure which one he is in that infamous picture. Just just saying. This guy declared a state of emergency and sectioned off part of the Capitol, basically turned it into a gun free zone, really tried to turn up the heat on this protest. And this amazing thing happened. Whereas you had hundreds of unarmed people in Charlottesville, and it eventually did turn violent and somebody did get killed. you had tens of thousands of people that showed up in Virginia, and they were armed, buddy. Some of these people were armed to the teeth, and not a damn thing happened. And I'll point out that there were groups there like the Black Panthers. And there's a lot of the Black Panthers rhetoric that I disagree with strongly. And the romanticizing of the Black Panthers is an injustice because there has always been a criminal element to them. However, the basic premise that they should be allowed to be armed so they can protect themselves, I'm 100% on board with. And
Yeah.
the fact that they should be able to stand side by side with every other pro Second Amendment group. I mean, there was no violence in Virginia, none. And there was a really simple reason for that. Everybody was armed. It's not just a cute little saying, it's a fact. But if you want to secure peace, prepare for war.
Yep. And really, there's a lot more we could go down with this, but we got places to be this morning. So let's get over to Florida man. Man armed with a knife shot to death in Ruskin. Okay, so a man who attacked a woman and someone she called for help with a knife was shot to, Jesus Christ. Why were you allowed to write? A man who attacked a woman and someone she called for help with a knife was shot to death, deputies. Oh, Andrew Kreitz, go back to school. Law enforcement responded just after 12:30 Sunday on a call about a shooting, according to Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Deputies found the man dead with a gunshot wound in the front yard. It's believed he attacked a woman with a knife earlier in the evening. Okay. It is believed that the man with a knife attacked a woman. He did not attack a woman with a knife, who then, using that knife, shot him. Just, I'm making an assumption here, but
Yeah, grammar was my weakest subject in school, and if you look at some of my Facebook screeds, that really pops out. But I mean, good grief! I understand that a sentence has to make sense at a glance, otherwise it's very difficult to read.
I had not intended for this to be to pop my inner grammar Nazi, but wow, the linguist in me is just crying here. So the man with the knife stabbed the other before getting shot. Okay, yeah. God. Okay, so we have a DRT. A bad guy with a weapon got killed by a presumably lawfully armed citizen, but I've been completely derailed from reading this article by the just Andrew, son, try again. In fairness, your editor should probably also be fired.
Yeah, yeah. I was wondering, like, did the editor just not? Oh dear.
Bless
Wow,
you.
that came out of nowhere. Did the editor just not catch any of this?
I
Like,
guess not. Okay, let's see if the Wand 17 can do any better. Police homeowner confronted masked intruders, shot and killed one. Okay, y'all saw this. Y'all saw our little SpaghettiOs short film, right? And yeah, 100%. Don't break in with a mask. Danville homeowner confronted men in ski masks who kicked in his door and ended up shooting and killing one, police said. That's a little better. Okay, police were called to a home invasion in progress with shots fired Sunday at 8:30 on Franklin Street. This is in Danville, Illinois.
now this one is a DOT, not a DRT, but I just had to, just
I didn't
had
know
to
there were
put it in.
guns. I didn't know there were any guns in Illinois.
Well, once you get outside of Chicago, it's
Yeah.
actually a pretty red state. In fact, most
Once
blue
you get
states,
outside of the urban rot, we're
which
pretty
is
much a
normally,
red country.
yeah, all of which is controlled by Democrats, by the by. Like blue states, they're not blue states. They're red states with giant blue cities in them. And
Yep.
the cities have reached critical mass and are able to overwhelm the rest of the state. I dare say that we are reaching the point where we're so populated as a country that the larger states need to have their own version of the electoral college for state level elections. I'd be comfortable with it if it just happened nationwide. In fact,
I'd be comfortable
everything
with revoking everyone's citizenship and making them reapply for it.
that is not at all where I was going with that, but that's an interesting idea. Anyhow, not to self derail.
Well,
The
Heinlein was an interesting guy.
the the reason why I wanted to bring your attention to this one, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, I just totally assumed your genders, um, was because yes, we've done the thing with the masked individual coming in, so it's humorous and it's self-referential, and yeah, it's a DOT, not a DRT, but man, multiple masked intruders broke into this dude's house and he managed to put bullets in most of them. Like, what? What? That sounds like something out of a movie, like out of an episode of The Punisher. I mean, what? Like, seriously, what kind of a set of nuts does this dude have? And how cool under pressure is he? Like, if somebody were to break into my house, I would be scared. I would be. But it would be one on one. And I know my house better than you do. But if three people broke into my house, like, ooh, ooh, buddy, that is way different math. That is way more terrifying math. Oh, why do you need a gun with more than 10 bullets? Okay. Let's just take your average shooter. Your average shooter who, at the range will mostly get the bullets on the paper. And then if you increase the difficulty level, they'll get 4 out of 6 bullets on the paper. Okay, well, I have a revolver, has 6 bullets. 3 guys walk into my house. How am I going to shoot the third one? Just based on the averages. I mean, we talked about the Beretta in the beginning of the show. Part of the reason why the Beretta has become the weapon to carry over the excellent 1911 is the Beretta's got a huge advantage that the 1911 doesn't.
Yep.
The
Even though the
Beretta,
1911 fires the Lord's caliber of 45 ACP, the Beretta just carries more bullets.
yep, yep, and
I mean, it's one of the
reloads.
principal arguments for the AR-15 style M4s and M16s that the U.S. military carries over the Russian um, automatic Kalashnikov. 5.56 ammunition weighs less than 7.62 ammunition. 7.62, it's a bigger round. It'll do a little more damage. Well, in fairness, it can do a lot more damage. 45 ACP would do a hell of a lot more damage than a 9mm. But 5.56 223, it's nothing to strap 210 rounds to my chest and go to work. That's not an arbitrary number, by the way. That's 6 magazines plus one in the weapon, 7 fully loaded 30-round magazines, basic combat load.
Yeah, buddy. But anyhow, that's all I got this morning. I just like I was so blown away by both the memetics of the story and just like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but balls a solid rock
Yeah,
on this guy.
absolutely. And I 100% agree. I mean, as much as I love a bigger caliber, the fact of the matter is, not everybody is Christopher Lowry or Jack Wilson. Um, and I am not Jack Wilson. I'm pretty good, but I don't know I'm that good. Uh, that's the guy that shot the shooter in the Texas shooting. Not everybody's Jack Wilson gonna sling it off the hip and throw that headshot across the room through targets at a moving target, or through obstructions at a moving target, and win the day with one round. What if there's more than one bad guy and you don't hit him on the first try? What if you
Yeah, and
what if you hit him on the first try and that's not enough? What if no? A 30 round magazine is a normal magazine in an AR-15 platform.
yeah, but it's weapons of war. They're made to shoot people. It's the only reason they exist. Hey, newsflash: all guns exist for the possibility of them shooting people. Like, the AR is not unique in this way.
Yep. All right. So, God, it's Friday. Have a great weekend.
Yep.
We'll see y'all Monday.
All right, man. As you know, as we both know, you got to get out the door.